Gordon Titchen's little black book may have been on the circuit longer than any other, but across the board, tactics in Sevens are more thought out and practiced than they've ever been. Taking what's left on the chalkboard out onto the pitch is all part and parcel of the professional era.
The IRB Game Analysis department measures the style and structure of gameplay on the Sevens World Series. Statistical analysis of previous series has identified that tactics has become a very important part of the game.
It was clinical, it was accurate, and that's one of the best performances that you could ever expect from the Fijians.
Fiji are the anomaly team of the series. They have the least amount of possession of all teams in the series. They have just above 3 minutes a game of possession. But what separates them from all other teams is that they are most clinical in possession. They score a try an average of 45 seconds per possession, and they score most of their tries from counter-attack situations. So from penalty kicks that they receive, from turnovers that they win, and in the build-up to those tries, 85% of tries are scored with no look or maul in the build-up. It's quite obvious with Fiji that once they receive a possession, they're straight towards the try line.
They just entertain the crowd with this wonderful style of rugby that only they can play. That sums up everything that's good about Fiji rugby.
It's putting the core skills together really from a tactical point of view. So, as much as we want to keep the ball alive, you've got to have some pragmatism. We play with this attacking flair, I just want to try and get it better and better. So, it's good that we got top 2 try scorers in the world and we're top try scorers in the world as a team, but I'm certain we can lift that another level. We want to keep the ball alive, but it's where the space is, and if you can get in it as quick as possible with the least amount of passes, then that's what you want, and when we're attacking well, it's fairly ruthless, and so your pass count goes down. Fiji don't really care about the opposition too much, play our own game and concentrate a lot more on what we're doing and where the space is in front of us. So it's probably more simple in that respect. I think if we do the simple things right, we'll get the possession and we'll score the points. So I keep going back to that, but it is 1 or 2 simple things that we just try to execute as well as possible.
Surprisingly, Kenya are the most disciplined team in the series. In previous years, they were somewhat indisciplined, but since the introduction of Paul True and Buyo Sankwa, they've really tightened up how they address the contact area and the breakdown. They concede on average just 2 penalties a game in the contact area, which suggests that they've removed technical errors from the game.
Tactically, Sevens has had to develop because a lot of times now you find that teams have turned professional, but also the fact that now the coaching staff all of a sudden have a lot more time with the players. So it's about improving those small skills that you never, in the past you never used to have that time, but at the moment you find that you got your boys 7 days in a week, and you just need to make sure you utilize your time wisely.
Stay behind him because he must see Felix.
In terms of Sevens, I think tactics are the one thing that wins you a game. And it's obviously as a coaching staff, you want to make sure that your team understands exactly what needs to be done on the field, and hopefully that your players can implement. We had to look at a few things and see what we could change and see what's worth improving. And I think discipline was one of them. We wanted to just make sure that the boys cut out the silly mistakes in the field, and obviously just to use their size and their bodies to our advantage.
And he is taken down by Billy Odhiambo.
With the size of the Kenyan boys, it's just amazing to not to apply that, especially when you can use that advantage to actually make a turnover at open play. So what we do is get them moving off the line and to get them making front-on hits and making positive hits.
And Kenya is successful again in holding up the USA players. Kenya's been doing that very well all season.
It's quite important because in Swahili we just call it chokesha, and it's basically like a choke tackle to all of us. It's basically the same thing as what they would call it, but we just call it in Swahili. And yeah, it's just about holding players up and trying to make the turnover.
From the analysis completed by the IRB Game Analysis department, it's identified that teams on the Sevens World Series that pass less and take the ball into contact more are more successful. This series, Canada have gone from being one of the most passing teams to one of the least passing teams, and it's been identified that they take the ball into contact more, which suggests that they have a direct game plan with strike runners that beats defenders.
It's nice for the IRB to say that we've actually improved tactically. I think the biggest thing that we decided in the last couple of years, we had to improve our execution of our skills, and that's one thing we've really concentrated on, is that you can have all the tactics in the world, but if you can't execute, for example, your passing element, your attack element, you can't put any tactics in place. By developing those core skills, then we were able to adapt and look at our game tactics and how we wanted to play the game. I think our execution of our passes are now, excellent. We were able to put the ball in front of the other person. We're able to run harder onto the ball, and that's something that we've worked constantly on. And sort of by executing your passes and by making sure that they're 100% correct, I think the opportunities to score tries and the opportunities to break opposition defensively increase. I think tactically defences have changed immensely. I think teams now, they close that gate down as soon as they see people maybe stop and slow down their pace. You're always thinking as a coach, well, how do we counteract that from an attacking perspective? And for us, it's been really running hard and making sure we execute what we can.
With the introduction of professionalism in the game, the analysis department identified the stabilisation of trends and performance, and throughout the series we've identified that tactics have become quite prominent in how the game is played.